Tyla's rise to fame might not have been as innocent as it seemed because she just got exposed, and it goes much deeper than people calling her an industry plant. They made it look like she was just some random South African girl who blew up on TikTok talking about wanting to get her back blown out until she watered, but in reality, she was being used as a pawn to push something darker onto kids. Word is, her contract had shocking clauses that forced her to push explicit content in front of young audiences. And if you remember, when Kanye talked about those so-called demonic contracts that make artists do wild things, people brushed it off as him being crazy, but now Jaguar Wright has jumped in with her own tea, claiming Tyla is caught in the same trap and even calling her an industry slave. This whole drama started a few days ago when her EP We Want to Party debuted with only 3.7 Kelvin sales in its first week, which is a terrible number for someone who has a song with over 1 billion streams on Spotify and heavy industry backing. Many people, especially Black Americans, dragged her and said she flopped because she failed to connect with them, with one person saying, "So Tyla had an album debut of 3.7 Kelvin. She may forever be in the flop asylum," while another said, "Tyla is a flop. Black Americans are done with her. She just needs to take her ass back to South Africa with that colored mess." Now, if you're wondering what they meant by that, about a year ago when Tyla first blew up, she upset a lot of people online by saying she wasn't black, she was colored. In South Africa, where she's from, mixed people are called colored, not black. But in the United States, that word carries a completely different meaning because it was used during segregation, so her comment rubbed many people the wrong way. Later, she went on The Breakfast Club and was asked to clear it up, but she refused, and since that show is a big platform with a strong Black audience, her dismissive attitude and refusal to answer most questions turned even more people against her.
Even more.
They didn't want us to ask about Kai Sinat. The whole "we friends though" thing.
Yeah.
Right? Like, huh?
Okay.
They didn't want to ask. They didn't want us to ask about her not being on tour with Chris Brown anymore. They didn't want us to ask about the color thing.
Injury.
They didn't want us to ask about her injury that she sustained. What else was it? They didn't want to ask us about who she was dating, which I wouldn't do anyway. And what was the other one? Oh yeah, and comparison. And it wasn't even reality. It just said comparisons to other pop artists.
It wasn't until the backlash got so bad that she finally addressed it properly. But even then, she still stood on business when it came to being colored. She acknowledged that yes, she's a Black woman, but she's still a colored woman as well. Me choosing not to say anything, I'm happy that I didn't. I didn't want to explain my culture and something that is really important to me on a platform that is just going to be purposefully misconstrued. I've explained it a lot of times before, but people took that and put words in my mouth. They said a whole bunch of things that I never said and ran with it. If people really search, they'll see that in South Africa, we had a lot of segregation. It was bad for a lot of us. They just classified us. And that just so happens to be the name that the white people called us. They chose to call people that were mixed colored. And I'm not gonna lie, it was hard because all my life, obviously, I knew I'm Black, but also knew that I'm colored. So when I went to America and people were like, "You can't say that," I was in a position where I was like, oh, so what do I do? What am I then? You know that even if you give the best explanation, people will still choose not to understand. I'm at a point where I know who I am. I know I'm a Black woman and I know I'm a colored woman as well, and you can be both, and the people that care to learn, they understand now, and that's
It wasn't until the backlash became overwhelming that Tyla finally addressed it, but even then she stood firm on identifying as colored. She admitted that yes, she is a Black woman, but she is also a colored woman, and explained that she chose not to say anything earlier because she didn't want to explain her culture on a platform where it would be twisted. She said she had already explained it many times before, but people put words in her mouth and spread things she never said. According to her, if people really looked into it, they'd see that South Africa had its own segregation system where mixed people were classified as colored, a label given by white people, and that's just what the community was called. She admitted it was difficult because all her life she knew she was Black, but she also knew she was colored. So when she came to America and people told her she couldn't say that, she was left wondering what she was supposed to call herself. She said that even if you give the clearest explanation, some people will still choose not to understand, but she knows who she is. Now she's both Black and colored, and people who care to learn have understood, and that's enough for her. But while all this was going on, Jaguar Wright jumped into the conversation and took it to another level, claiming Tyla was purposely placed in the industry with an image that appeals to little girls so she could poison their young minds with explicit lyrics.
I don't want to bring attention to it because I know what they're doing to her. But when you think about the lyrics of that song, Water, and you think about her core fan base, which are girls between the age of 7 and 17. Can you blow my mind and set off my whole body? Make me sweat, make me hotter, make me lose my breath, make me water. Why the f would that be coming out of 8-year-olds' mouth? And dancing and gyrating and trying to get a bump, bump, bump. Because that's all those kids that are watching her are doing. That's all they're doing. They're going to imitate everything that she does. Meanwhile, the local pedo who has a kid who are friends with a bunch of girls, 9, 10, 11 years old, inviting the girls over for pizza.
Jaguar also said the reason they specifically picked Tyla for this agenda is because she has the body of a 4-year-old, and this will make it easy for her to pull kids into her fan base, as well as pedophile men who fantasize about being able to sleep with little girls. She outright called Tyla an industry slave, claiming that once they are done with her, they will probably discard her, just like they did with Aaliyah after exploiting her.
A day over 14 years old, and she's one of the most highly female figures on media today. You never see her fully dressed. She's always half naked. We always have to see her skin. We always have to see her body. And as talented as she is, can't be more demure. South Africa doesn't mean that every woman from South Africa is running around in loincloth, gyrating her genitalia and her every time you see her. It's like she can't even sing without popping up. I believe she's an industry slave.
A lot of people were quick to believe Jaguar because everything she said lines up with what is happening to Tyla right now, and some even compared it to what the industry did with Lil Nas X when they poured millions into his career, gave him Grammys during his controversies, and then suddenly dropped him, leaving him without a hit since. Tyla followed a similar path, coming into the industry through a TikTok song, winning a Grammy with that same track, and now facing the possibility of being discarded, with rumors even suggesting she might be deported back to South Africa, since the only reason she has been able to stay in the US is because of her music. And if that no longer works, she may have no reason to remain. People had plenty to say, with one person writing, "I agree 1000%. The first time I saw Water and listened to the lyrics, I felt uneasy. Tyla looks much younger than her stated age, and hearing that she's been spotted with Clive Davis is very disturbing because we know he is one of the reasons Diddy is as messed up mentally as he is. I don't know who her team is, but her being seen with Clive Davis is a worst-case scenario." Another person said, "I love Tyla, and she's one of my favorite artists right now. But Jag is right. I refuse to sing the lyrics to this song. Can you snatch my soul number? That is a very dangerous mantra to repeat, and the other lyrics aren't good either," just like Jag said. But now, I want to know your opinion. What do you think about Tyla being exposed as an industry plant, and do you believe Jaguar's claims that she's being used to corrupt children? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to click here to watch this other messy video.